Let's all laugh at the sugars, part 18. Hello, I am your glorious narrator, yes, he of the chocolatey velvety tones and stentorian delivery. I have an extensive video collection. Over 5,500 videos of excellence about so many different things about narcissism. But a large amount of those videos, but not the majority, are to do with Harry's wife, because she provides us with an excellent opportunity to show narcissism in action, and so many of you are interested in her. Along with that comes, of course, the sugars, the deluded dimwits, who are totally incapable of understanding the application of logic and evidence, and instead shoot from the lip on an emotional basis, with their frequent protestations of "leave her alone," and "you're racist," and "you don't know her." Yes, they're as tedious as they are predictable, but it does provide us with an opportunity to have a good old laugh at some of the rantings from these deluded cretins, and therefore, without further ado, let's bring on the first of their comments. Straight out of the blocks, we have the snappily titled user VO8DM6PK2C. I wouldn't like to her attempt to say her name when her teeth have just been kicked in. But this individual declares she's talentless, self-obsessed and boring. Well, so far, it's a decent start, but then she goes and fucks it up by saying, just like H.G. Tudor himself. Now, come now, user VO8MD6PK2C. I'm going to call you user. Come, user. You really think that I'm a talent-free zone, do you? Look at the prodigious output of material that has been created. Over 50 books written about narcissism. Millions of people helped through my YouTube, Facebook, blog sites. Over 200 products available in the Knowledge Vault. Thousands of people consulted with. Thousands of people having undertaken narc detectors and empath detectors to help them gain understanding. Witty and erudite observations in interviews and through all of these videos. Talentless? Not at all. Not at all. And as for boring, well, I think the figures in terms of readership, viewership, point to the contrary. Millions upon millions of views, both in terms of my blog and also YouTube. She carries on. You meet boring, self-adoring cunts like him in any overpriced, soulless, swanky London venue. The only aspect about me being a cunt is when I decide that I'm going to get hold of you, user, and ensure that you understand that you are actually a complete fuckwit. And I don't attend overpriced, soulless, swanky London venues. Not at all. I go to places which are far more interesting, and I'm rarely in London these days, having moved away. But there we are, user. You see, you come along and attempt to insult me, and all you do is provide me with a lovely platform to explain how brilliant I am. Up pops Gwen. She has many other manifestations, as we all know. HG is evil and racist, and YouTube will deal with it. Well, Gwen, we know that you pop up time and time again with your completely futile protestations against the brilliant H.G. Tudor. Time and time again, you have threatened that YouTube will deal with it. And you know what? I'm still here. Yes, each and every day, my videos are created. And I bet it really gets to you, Gwen, doesn't it? As you sit there in your dull beige house, you can't help but keep coming and watching my videos. Oh, you claim that you put them on mute. I don't fucking care. You're still giving me a watch, aren't you? You're watching because you're obsessed. You can't let go. The fact is, you secretly fancy me, Gwen. You secretly find yourself becoming aroused at the thought of the level of my evilness. And you know that I'm not racist. You have no evidence of that whatsoever, but you just trot it out because you're simple-minded. But you're so conflicted, aren't you, Gwen, or the many other names that you go by? You sit there, wanting to denounce me, hoping that somehow YouTube will deal with me, but secretly you want the Ultra to pay you a visit and bend you over and spank you into heavenly bliss. I know you, Gwen. I know what you want. Next we have Bluebird6876. Why is HG obsessed with Harry's wife? He's not. Who cares? When will it be time to move on? Well, there's plenty of other stuff to move on to, Bluebird. Perhaps you've taken the opportunity to use the search function or look at the playlists, and then you'll find there's oodles of material that you can learn. Tons about narcissism. I only utilise Harry's wife because so many people are interested in her, and I'm going to play to the crowd in that extent, aren't I? But alongside it, there's plenty of material. Have you been watching what I've pumped out in relation to Russell Brand? If not, why not? What about the fantastic Lucy Letby series? That is an absolute masterclass in analysis. There's so much that's out there. You don't need to worry about Harry's wife, Bluebird. Next up, we have Annie Siphon, who's so stupid she has to write her name twice, and with a predictable sugar bleat, leave Meg alone. No, I won't. She's beautiful. No, she's not. She looks a fucking mess at the moment. Classy. She's got about as much class as a bull in a field having a shit. And a wonderful lady. No, she's not. Leave her alone. Well, like your name, stating it twice isn't going to make it any better. But of course, Annie Siphon, so dim-witted she named herself twice, comes out with the proverbial mark of the sugar. The British people are a bunch, it's grapes that are a bunch, you mean group, of racist Neanderthals, which you can't even spell correctly. Most British people are actually Homo sapiens, they're not Neanderthals, and I know that you're using it as an insult, which is rather unfair against Neanderthals, they get a bad press, but most people in Britain are far from racist, but I suspect that you, Annie Siphon, so stupid you wrote your name twice, are the actual racist here. Next, we have the very bitter Tara White, 4419. I'm glad nothing lasts forever, and neither will H.G. Tudor. Well, that's where you're mistaken, Tara. You see, you've not been paying attention, probably as a consequence of the fact that your ears are filled with goo because you don't clean them out properly. And you just stare at the screen, slack-jawed, drooling down the left-hand side of your face. I've been creating a legacy. Look around you. Thousands of videos. Thousands of delicious Tudor videos. Scores of books. Thousands of blog articles. Tudor permeates through cyberspace. Millions of people who know about my work and will continue to do so. And as more and more momentum is obtained and as more and more is done, as I create more and more work, more and more people will learn my name and recognize the brilliance of what I provide. And thus, whilst you are there, probably in your home, being eaten by that Alsatian, as Bridget Jones feared, dead with nobody caring about you, my legacy will last. At FlyG42, such BS. We all know the royal family is racist. She has a right to call out the BS. How do we all know that the royal family is racist? Do they go around shooting black people? Do they shout it from the rooftops that they don't like people who aren't white? No. It's people like you, FlyG42, that comes out with the racist bollocks. Now do us all a favour and fuck off. Lydia Zafra pops up next. Stop your persecution non-stop against Harry's wife. What is your life? Are you perfect? Well, first of all, it's not persecution. It's an analysis of an individual for the purposes of pointing out her narcissism, what all of that means. You clearly need to understand what persecution is. Furthermore, it's not the case of it being non-stop. If it was non-stop, I would be doing it all day, all night, each and every day. And you can clearly see that's not the case. Thus, your use of the English language is already failing you. What is my life? Well, my life is the life of a narcissistic psychopath. And oddly enough, if you applied your pea-sized brain to accessing my material for a moment, you'd learn more about that. But you can't be bothered, can you? Why? Because you have to have your knee-jerk reaction, Lydia Zafra, and spew your own bile. And then ask, are you perfect? I'm perfect in the way that I function and operate. Others may disagree, but what does that matter? Next up, what's love got to do with it? Well, we all know who this is, don't we? This person's replying to Tamla Motown Magic. Doesn't matter if this account was open today, this is free speech. Thus, this individual freely admitting that they open account after account after account in order to circumvent the rules on YouTube to continue to spout their nonsense. When the online vultures, very fond of using that phrase, this person, don't like our responses, as you obviously don't, that makes us respond and smile even more. HG has been reported to YouTube by several people. No, just the one, you, for spreading hate and racism. Please identify the hate and racism. I'll wait. And we hope this channel is shut down again. Well, you know what hope is? Pointless. You notice your cult leader always deletes our responses. Really? Well, how come this one's here? I delete many of them because they're repetitive, boring and ridiculous, and people have got better things to do than read the shite that you come out with. But once in a while, we need to acknowledge the fact of your existence purely for the point of taking the piss out of you. Also, your use of capital letters is somewhat strange, which probably points to the fact that, as I pointed out earlier on, you get yourself worked up into such a froth because you're conflicted between trying to pour hate towards me, but by secretly being in love with me and wanting me to bring my left hand down on that round Bodybot of yours. Now, which epsilon semi-moron has wandered in front of my sights? Oh look, it's Benita 3431. I'm sure that all of these negative commenters are ugly, fat and obese. Well, Benita, I've got news for you. Rather than looking in the mirror and decrying the fact that you're ugly and fat, the fact is that many of my commentators are absolutely scrumptious and delicious. How do I know? I know what they look like. But she carries on. Incest surviving ignorant and jealous racists. Once again, the sugar cry of racism. May the Holy Ghost encapsulate all of y'all. So goes from calling people names, saying that they're ugly and that they're fat and they're obese, suggesting that they're somehow incest-surviving ignorant, which doesn't even make sense, but then plays the Christian card. Complete hypocrite and a turd to boot. Next up we have Sandra Denise 2283. HG seems to be obsessed with Markle Narc. I mean, these new videos of his about her are on a loop. No, they're not. Seems more went on than he mentions. Did she ghost him as well? Well, no, she didn't, as you'll find out in further episodes of When Harry's Wife Met HG. But these videos aren't on a loop. I just provide plenty of them because there's much to talk about. Jackie Dezel 3401. You know, HG, you seem to hate her a bit extra. You know, I don't actually hate her. I just find her irritating. She's boring, but I find the fact of her repeated need to pop up, and because she's so talentless, it's very dull. You see, Andrew Tate, he's a knob, but at least he's an entertaining knob in what he does. Russell Brand, similarly, you may not like him, but at least he's got some interesting views to put forward and he demonstrates some intelligence also. But with Harry's wife, she's just such a loser, isn't she? So desperate. You can't really hate her. You just more find her irritating and disliking her. So Jackie Dizelle wonders if I'm jealous. You mean envious? That she's famous? No, not at all. I'm not bothered at all by her fame. I'm well known in my own circles to the level that I would prefer. I don't want to be internationally famous, so her international fame doesn't concern me in the slightest. Nor does her wealth. I do rather well myself, thank you very much. Or perhaps when you met her, maybe she rejected you. No, she didn't. I believe she's a narcissist. There's no belief about it. She is one. But maybe you're overly focused on her for the reasons stated above. No, There's no over-focus. There's simply a focus, which is as a consequence of the fact that so many people like to hear me talk about her. Girlfriend. I'm sorry. Why? Why are you sorry? I don't have a problem with Harry's wife's behaviour, but I do have a problem with bullies. Why are you apologising for that? Perhaps it's because you don't really have a sincere view. Racism is very much alive. Okay. She's hated for her skin, not her behaviour. Bullshit alert. No, girlfriend. She's disliked for her behaviour. She's condemned for her behaviour. You're the one that makes it about skin. People are mad that she's a black woman or mixed women. People are mad that she's a black woman, so there's more than one of her. Heaven forfend. Or mixed women who married a prince. Get a life. Someone's happiness should never make you people so jealous. You mean envious. But I guess that having what everyone wants makes you a target. No, most people don't want Harry. He's a spliff-head, ginger-bollocked dimwit with Fanta pubes. He used to be quite a fun bloke, but he's turned into a bit of a plank because of her. There's nothing to do with the skin. It's everything to do with the behaviour. But dimwits like you, girlfriend, can't swallow that, can you? But there's plenty of other things that you've been swallowing, you dirty fiend. Oh, for fuck's sake, here's a novel from Mr. Jeremy 2605. What a nasty video. Just the place for the nasty people to make nasty comments. Go and get a thesaurus, and then you can find alternatives for nasty. Mean-spirited and petty. Find something else to do with your lives, instead of running down two people who found happiness together. But if you've been paying attention, 2605, you'd realise that he's not actually happy because he's in the grip of a narcissist, and she believes that she's happy, but she's not. It's a product of fuel. They made a lovely family. What? The one with the children that are hardly ever seen. The pressures of being high visibility celebrities, which they choose to be, in a very tightly controlled royalty PR machine. I think both Harry and Harry's wife have guts to go their own way. They didn't have guts, they ran away like the cowards they are. I think the royals treated them very badly, subjected Harry's wife to racist attacks. Evidence? There isn't any. Both directly and indirectly. A great deal of harm was done to them. They were financially cut off from spite. Spite doesn't supply the money. Perhaps you mean they were financially cut off as a consequence of spite. Their children have titles, but theirs were taken away. No, they're not. They're still known as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The sheer meanness of the royal family takes my breath away. They are the losers. Oh, I'm sure they're really worried about being called a loser by you. The book was a way to make money to live on, and here you go using them as fodder for your rumour mill. And personal attacks. They're not attacks. They're comments and analysis. You really are a horrible person, H.G. Tudor. Oh, I'll not sleep tonight. You've called me horrible, 2605. Oh, please be my friend. And you have gathered the most racist and mean-spirited people on your channel. Do you hear that, valuable viewers? You're the most racist and mean-spirited people around. You are so cowardly, hiding behind a fake ID. It's not a fake ID. It's a pseudonym. It's not the case that I pretend this is who I actually am, and people think, oh, there is a real H.G. Tudor. There's a real person that uses a pseudonym, H.G. Tudor, but everybody knows it's a pseudonym. And there are good reasons why I use it. Taking pot shots. They're not. It's analysis. You don't understand the meaning of the word. Shameful and cowardly bullying. Again, you don't understand what bullying is. Go stuff yourself. What with? Olives? Feta cheese? What do you want me to stuff myself with? Or perhaps I'll pay you a visit, and I'll stuff my fist into your face. I dare say it's a fairly stroppy waxwork-like face, and most people will probably cheer me on as I land blow upon you. Seeing as you wish to visit unpleasantness on me, perhaps you should have some yourself. I'm not going to be part of this dog pack attack. Oh, really? I like Harry's wife and Harry. Well, you're entitled to do so. They are fine people, but you're not a very good judge of character, and very courageous. You're still not a good judge of character, and gutsy. You're still not a good judge of character for leaving that stuffy palace and country. Look, Harry's wife, why don't you just write these things in your own name and save everybody the bother? In actual fact, you've become so tedious, I can't even be bothered to read the rest of it. Next, we have Amir7BH, responding to Violetta, D1485, who's a decent commentator. Typical racist post from an online vulture who think they know everything about everyone, which is a no. Oh, we all know who that is. who's posting again under another pseudonym, a different name as Amy. Yes, it's the lady who's secretly in love with H.G. Tudor and wants a good spanking at the hand of firm governance from the Ultra. Now we have Juliet V, or Julie TV 3863. Okay, you make me want to vomit. You are supporting all the evil, baby-eating, child-raping and torturing Illuminati, whatever that is. EHD or EHO destroyed me. GF yourself and your ridiculous spam cam crap about Satan lives in Hollywood and in the UK. Just stay the F away, you psycho, with nothing better to do but rant about some chick named Harry's wife. I would suggest, Julie TV, that you go to the nearest emergency room and present yourself with simply the message that you've written and say, please help me. Now we turn to Diane Martinez, 5284. You're misspelt as usual. It's YOU''RE. So full of crap. Well, actually, you're so full of idiocy. Harry leaving the royal family was the best thing for him. Really? Really? Do you think it's turned out well for him? And Harry's with his family. His own family! Yes, put it in caps. That makes it all the more legitimate. You all wish Harry would come back to the UK. Actually, most people don't. And beg the royal family to take him back. But that will never happen. Well, if it doesn't, most people will be, so fucking what? You've made your own bed, Fantapubes, go and lie in it. And thus, you've been treated to more of the slops of the delinquent mind of the Sugars and their prime idiocy. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.